Hello, and a good morning, good afternoon, and a very good evening to you. We're going to people of the tube. Hope today, hope you're feeling grand and all is well in your world. Hello, everybody. Welcome to A&Q Wednesday. Let's get straight to it, shall we? I do believe so. Blooming freezing today, by the way. Anyway, it's not about how cold you are, Dave. It's about the questions. Okay, let's get it. So, question 1 is, how do you connect your Vox wah to your Line 6 HX? I just use inputs and outputs. I don't use effects loops. I don't use the Line 6's HX effects loops or the 4-cable method or anything like that. I'm far too stupid to be able to understand that kind of thing. So, the wah pedal just goes, what is it, input, output, so basically, guitar goes into the input of the wah, comes out the output, goes into the input of the HX, and then from the HX goes to the output to the amp. And that's it. I run it just like you would a pedal board. I'm still 100% sold on the fact that the HX is a pedal board killer. Because it is. It's just ridiculously awesome. And there are times when I'm like, I could literally do everything I want with just this pedal and a wah. You know, and even then it's got wahs inbuilt with it, which you can use external things. It's just insane. That unit never ceases to amaze me, the HX. I'm so enamored with it. I just love it. And it's just a bit ridiculous, to be honest with you. It's like the multi-effects units to end multi-effects units. It really is. Although I'm sure there'll be a new one coming out in some point. I'll just be like, even better than that. But, you know, it takes some beating. Anyway. But how do I connect the Vox wah to the Line 6? Like I say, it's just very simple. It's just in a line. Yeah, it's just one patch lead from the HX to the wah-wah. And that's it. You know, there's no kind of like... I'm not clever enough to understand the 4-cable method, or... I don't like effects loops. I don't like how clean effects loops are. So the only thing I like to run an effects loop is a looper. I like how clean it is for that. It's perfect for looping. But... as far as effects go, like delay distortions and stuff like that, I don't like effects loops at all. I like it for looping only. But, yeah, the HX and a Vox wah, it's very simple. Like I say, you know, Vox into HX to the amp, and that's it. It's just outputs and inputs. There's no secrecy to that kind of thing. Like I say, I'm too stupid to be able to kind of like be clever with anything that I have. It's all just in a line. If it goes in a line and it works like a stream, where it just passes through different things, like, you know, I can understand that. Anything else, it's just like, ah! Plus, I don't like the idea of, like, I like things in a line, and I like to kind of keep things simple, just because if something goes wrong, it's something I learned from gigging. If something goes wrong, like when I had a huge pedal board, my pedal board used to be the size of a guitar case. Am I really white? I'm just going to stay with it because, you know, I'm a ghost. Woo! If it's really bright, actually, I don't know. It looks really bright on the LCD screen. Is it really bright, people of YouTube? I do apologise if I look dead pasty. I'm not ill. I don't think so. Anyway, hang on a minute. I've had an idea. Hang on. There we go. This is the way normal people look, right? Anyway, I don't know what's going on. I'm going to have to stop it because it looks really bright. 1 minute. Okay, I think that's more normal. I just kept getting glimpses of myself on the LCD screen. I look like a ghost. Sorry, that shouldn't make me laugh, and I don't know why it is. And I don't know why I found me looking like a ghost so funny. Okay, breathe. Back to the question. What was I saying? I was talking about gigging. I was tangenting off on that one, wasn't I? So, I don't know why I found that so funny. Stop laughing, Dave. You're filming. Okay, so, something I learned when I was gigging is, like, when I had a pedal board the size of a guitar case, because my pedal board used to be the size of a guitar case, and leads were going everywhere, and it was just chaos. When something went bang and broke, which things do when you least expect it and least want it to happen, I found it really hard to kind of trace the signal. So I like things now where I understand, and it's simple and it's just in front of me. So if something goes bang and goes wrong, I can easily fix it. The problem will be very easily noticeable, if that makes any sense. So So when it comes down to things like the HX and my Vox Wah, stop laughing, Dave. Like I said, when I use that, it's basically it's as simple as can be. Like I say, it just goes into the HX, out of the HX, into the wah, out to the guitar. Is that the right way around? No, it's backwards, but I'm backwards. Out is that way instead of that way, and in's this way instead of that way. And don't ever ask me for directions. Which way is it, Dave? That way, but maybe this way, and then that way, and then there. Anyway, that's how you get to Narnia. Anyway, moving along. Stop saying anyway, and stop laughing, and stop being an idiot. I can't. I'm an idiot. Okay, so you're an idiot. Okay, so yeah, very simple. I say it just goes, guitar into a Vox, Vox goes into the HX, and that's it. It's just one patch lead basically between the HX and the wah. There's no other tomfoolery going on there at all. Yeah, it's very simple. Very simple as can be. So yeah, I hope this is a question. Random tangent and laughing fit aside, let's move on to question 2. Okay, so question 2 is, are there any tips on changing pickups so I don't mess it up? Any do's and don'ts? Not really. I mean, changing pickups is the first couple of times you change pickups in your guitar, it's a very daunting kind of task. Especially if your soldering iron's cack like mine was. Initially it's kind of a nerve-wracking experience because you kind of you are afraid of messing it up and what happens if you put it all back together and it doesn't work or you ruin your guitar. So what the main thing I would say is to take your time. It's like anything. Don't rush it. Just because, you really need, when changing pickups, you want to take your time, make sure everything's soldered correctly and securely, make sure the solder joints are nice and as clean as you can get them. I'm not very good at soldering, but I know when the connection's good and when it's not after doing it for so many years. And, you just want to make sure those joints, even if they're ugly, as long as they're kind of secure, then jobs are good in. It doesn't matter about it being the most perfect, pristine solder job in the world. It just has to be good enough to hold and make a good connection. I recently had to resolder the earth wire on my 62 because the earth wire, it was holding on by one little strand. Because in a wire, in the wires, you have all the little kind of strands of wire. It was basically held on by one, and I was like, because the guitar started to buzz, and I was like, it's buzzing so much. It never used to buzz that much, so I had it apart. And lo and behold, the earth wire was basically hanging on by this tiny little bit of copper wire. And I was like, well, that's not good. I'm going to have to sort that out. And I'll tell you what, soldering things inside a 62 Strat is nerve-wracking. That is a nerve-wracking experience. But it needed to be done, you know what I mean? I'm not one of those people with my 62 that's kind of I'm not, I can't touch it. I don't care. If something breaks, I'm going to replace it. And if something needs resoldering, I'm going to resolder it. Or, if it needs refretting, it needs refretting. I'm not going to baby it because I want to play the thing. But, getting back to the point, is just take your time. Make sure, what helps me, when I resolder pickups, what helps me is to make notes. I always have a notepad nearby, and I tend to draw out where the pickup I'm changing goes to, or I'll mark it out on the scratch plate so I know when I take the old pickup out and put the new pickup in, I know exactly where it goes. And I always doodle it out, so it makes sense to me. I always have a notepad. I always take notes of where things go and what's going on and stuff like that, because I like to be really kind of sure before I do things. I like to check, and then check again, and then check again after that, because I don't want to get it wrong. So before I do anything, I'll put the soldering iron down and I will draw it out, make sure I've drawn it out properly, and then I'll make sure I've done it again, and then I'll go in with a soldering iron and make sure I get it as good as I can get it to take the pickup out, and then put the other one in. And before I solder the new pickup in, I'll make sure the leads are correct of where they're going. And I'll take my time with it. And I think this is the key to it. Just really making sure that you're right and making sure it's right before you do it. And, just really no rush. There's no rush to do it. You don't have to have it done in, oh my God, I've got to have it done in 5 minutes, or I've got to have it done in two minutes, or whatever, if it takes 4 hours to change a pickup, it takes 4 hours to change a pickup. You know, it's fine. You know, because the more you do it, the more you'll be comfortable with it. But the first time you do it, yes, it's terrifying. I totally know where you're coming from. The first time I changed pickups was in a guitar. I don't have it anymore. It was a yellow Richwood. It was a graffiti yellow Richwood Strat copy, and I changed out the neck pickup to a Fender pickup I had bought. I had bought this Fender Tex-Mex pickup and put it in the neck. Or was it the bridge? Oh no, sorry. It was a neck pickup that I put in the bridge position. So yeah, so that it was a bit weird, but it sounded great. And so it was basically, yeah, technically a neck pickup, but I put it in the bridge position and it sounded really, really good. And the first time I did that and had that guitar apart and took the old pickup out, put the new one in, I was terrified. It was so terrifying. I was like, oh my god, what if I ruin it? What if I do this? What if I do that? And yeah, so I totally understand where you're coming from. But guitars, you know, pots are very resilient things, you know. You have to go a long way to really damage a pot with a soldering iron. It's possible to ruin a pot with a soldering iron. You can overheat it and it can go funny. But as long as you're not silly, as long as you're not leaving the soldering iron on there for like, you know, 10 minutes, I think you'll be alright. And as long as you kind of like just need it on when you need it on kind of thing, and, you know, you're not dithering about the place, you know, too much. You know what I mean? You need to take your time, but you can't dither. You can't, you know, you can't be... you know, you don't have to be Johnny on the spot, but you don't have to be kind of like the snail with the soldering iron either. You know what I mean? You have to kind of like get it right. Again, that's why checking and checking and checking and checking and checking again before you actually solder a lead down is super important. Also making sure your soldering iron is clean as well, beforehand and afterwards, to keep your soldering iron in a good condition. You know, to make sure it's the end of it is clean and you know, it's not going to rust up or go funny on you. That's important. But yeah, and watch your fingers. You know, wear eye protection as well, because you don't want burning hot melted solder flicking up and into your eyes, because it can sometimes do that. There have been times in the past where I've had solder sprink at my face and like that if I get too close, and you don't really want to be breathing in the smoke too much. It's not so bad now with unleaded solder. Like leaded solder back in the day, you didn't want to be breathing that stuff in. But it's not so bad these days, but still you don't want to be breathing it in if you can help it. It's not the healthiest of things to be breathing. Is there any real do's and don'ts? No, I mean, like I say, the key is to check again and take your time, but not, you know, don't be a snail, but like take your time. You know, you really need to make sure it's right before you do anything, you know, and before you put your soldering iron in there, you need to make sure everything's going to be where it goes, kind of thing. So, but the thing is, the more you do it, the easier it gets, and eventually you know what you're doing. And like I say, I've got my own little way of changing pickups that I might film one day if I ever change pickups, which is very rare. When was the last time I changed pickups on a guitar? I don't remember the last guitar I changed pickups on, because I don't really do it. Like I say, I mean, to be honest with you, I've done it a lot, but I've only ever done it on certain. Well, it's no guitar I have anymore, but I think the last one I changed pickups on was the guitar I called the Thing. It was a Squire Strat that I put 2 humbuckers in it and a gold foil pickup in the middle position, which I eventually sold because I needed money at the time, and that was one of those guitars, like, you know, I didn't want to sell but needed the money, had to go. But I think that was the last guitar I changed pickups on, and it was a nightmare, but not horrific. You know what I mean? You know, but I don't really like to change pickups that much. I don't feel the need to change much about my guitars, to be honest with you. Sometimes, if something breaks, then yeah, if a volume pot dies, then fair enough. If a select switch dies, fair enough. You know, if a pickup dies, fair enough. But until that happens, most of my guitars are what they are. You know what I mean? I don't feel the need to mess around with them too much. You know what I mean? I'm quite happy with my guitars the way they are. I don't own a single guitar at this point in time I have desires to change anything on. No, I don't. No, they're all fine. You know, I don't have any desires to try new pickups or change pickups or different machine heads or different this, that and the other. I'm very happy with the way all my guitars are. So yeah, all's well. But yeah, so any tips on changing pickups, like I say, is just check again. Have a notepad nearby to doodle things out, draw things out, make sure everything's where it should be going before you even put a soldering iron down. And then just take your time. You know, just again, don't be a snail, but you don't have to be Johnny on the spot. Like I say, just take your time with it. Make sure everything's right. You know, and also before you put the guitar back together, make sure the pickup works. Much to my, I'm sure I'm not the only person who's done it, but I remember years ago putting a different pickup in a guitar. I don't know what it was. I think it was the orange Strat I used to own. I put a different pickup in that guitar, put the whole thing back together, strung it up, tuned it up. I forgot to check the pickup because I was stupid. I've strung it all back up and got it all back to tune and everything like that. Plugged it in and the pickup didn't work. And I was like, I've got to take the whole thing apart again. So I take the strings off, take all the screws out, and then lift up the scratch plate again. It wasn't the most fun experience of my life. And I was like, but that was a failure on my half that made me learn. And I've never done it since because I learned from that mistake. So, you know, mistakes and failing are super important because you learn. You know, if you never fail, you'll never learn anything. Whereas if you fail, then you learn. You know, it's that kind of thing of like, you know, you need to touch something hot to know not to touch it again. You know, you need to put your hand on the kettle by accident to know you don't touch the kettle when it's on. Obviously, of course, if it's cold and hasn't been used all day, fair enough. But you know, you need to fail to learn, if that makes any sense. You know, I really believe that's the case. You know, it's the same as learning guitar. It's like, you know, you have to fail at something X amount of times to be able to do it once. You know what I mean? If that makes any sense. Anyway. But yeah, so that would be my tips. Like I say, I'm not the best person to ask when it comes down to soldering tips. I'm pretty terrible at that kind of thing. I can do it, definitely, but I'm not very good at it. There's people on YouTube who are just like masters at it, you know what I mean? Who are just so good at this kind of thing. And I'm not one of them. But I can do it if I need to do it. But like I say, I don't like to change things too much. I'm quite, you know, out of those guitars in the rack there, the only thing that's ever been changed out of those guitars is the first ever Oswald pickups. Because I didn't like the Seymour Duncans it came with after a while. Because I remember when me and Nick picked the pickups for that guitar, it was like, yeah, SSL ones. John Frusciante apparently uses them. That's what it's got to be. But after about a month or so of playing with the SSLs, I started to get really fed up of the sound, and it just sounded dead. And eventually, yeah, they've changed out. I've changed them out now to Evil Sheep pickups, which I adore. That guitar is just perfect with those pickups in it. The Evil Sheep pickups are insanely good, and I love them. And I'd say that guitar, I'm going to have to do a close-up of this guitar because this is the first guitar that Nick made for me, and it's seen a lot of use. I mean, unfortunately, our live life at this point in time has been killed by, you know, there is no live music, and, you know, gravy knows when that's going to come back. But this guitar, I've done a lot of gigs with this guitar, and it's, you know, it's been to France with me, it's come back, it's really, this guitar, I've only had it since 2017, and it looks 10 times older than my white Strat, which I've had since 2004. This looks absolutely, I mean, you can see the pick wear there. I haven't relicked this either. All the dings and the dents on this thing are all natural. I refuse to relic this guitar. It was just, it didn't need to. I thought, it's nitro, it's gonna go on its own. And I've started, you know, I'm going through the lacquer on the fingerboard. I've totally scuffed that up there. It's starting to check like a madman. You know, it's the scratch plate is kind of discoloured. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but I'll do a close-up vid on this soon, and I'll show you up close and personal, so to say. And when I go and visit Nick, hopefully this year, fingers crossed, touch wood, I'm going to take this back because I want him to see this guitar, because I say this is the first one he made back in 2017, and I say it's one of my favourite guitars of all time, this. I just adore it. And I say the only thing that's been changed on it, apart from the scratch plate, because it originally came with a 3-ply scratch plate, is the pickups. Oh yeah, and also I took the lacquer off the back of the neck because it was a bit, being nitro, it was a bit sticky, and about halfway through a gig, your hand would start to stick to the neck, and so I took, when we helping my friend James, we took the lacquer off the back of the neck and oiled it, and yeah, this is honestly one of the best necks I've ever played in my life on this guitar. It's amazing. I think it's a 12 thingy radius as well. It's quite a flat radius. It's not vintage spec radius. It's quite flat. Yeah, but it's really, really nice. I love this guitar. Like I said, I'll do a close-up on it at some point. Anyway, I'm waffling on again. I like my tangents, don't I? Hey, tangent boy to the rescue. Anyway, but yeah, so I'm going to do a close-up of this vid. But close-up of this guitar, should I say, at some point. Let you see it, because it's really cool. I love the way it's aging. Anyway, so yeah, anyway, I hope that's answered your question. Sorry, that was random as monkeys, but monkeys driving a coach to Zimbabwe. I don't know why they'd be going there, but hey, maybe, why not? Chimp holiday. Okay, so yeah, so I hope I answered your question. I do apologise for the randomness at the end. I'm still trying to get over the fact that I look like a ghost at the beginning of it. I hope I look like a ghost now, because if I've changed the filter on the camera for no reason, it won't be as funny, and I'll just look like a lunatic. Anyway, so I hope that's your question. I'm going to move on to question 3 now. So question 3 today is, which do you recommend more for a John Frusciante cleanish tone? The Marshall Jackhammer or the Tone City Golden Plexi? The amp I'll be plugging it into is the Katana 50, Boss Katana 50. Well, in all fairness, you can get the John Frusciante cleanish tone out of a Boss Katana 50. I've done a video sometime in the past. That's the past, apparently. Or would that be the future and that be the past? People with a tube, let me know. But yeah, you can get John's clean tone out of the Katana. You know, if you use the brown mode or the lead mode and run the gain super low, you can get the thing out of the Katana. But if you really want to use a pedal, out of the Jackhammer and the Golden Plexi, which one I recommend? I'd recommend the Jackhammer, just because you've got more EQ control with the Jackhammer. With the Tone City, you've only got a tone control, whereas with the Jackhammer, you've got bass, treble, contour, and frequency. So you've got a big, wide range of tuning. You know, depending on what amp you plug that thing into, you've got more control over the pedal, which is always good. So, and the tone. Whereas with the Tone City, the Golden Plexi, it's, you know, it's just fabulous in every way. But it goes from super dark to super bright, but that's all it does. You know what I mean? It's a usual kind of tone control. So if it's all the way down, it's dark. If it's at mid, it's kind of normal-ish. And then all the way up, it's really bright. Whereas with the Jackhammer, you can really dial that thing in. You know, it takes a bit of doodling, but you can get there. You know, it just takes a bit of time, but it's worth it. But like I say, you can get John's tone out of the Katana 50 with the amp. You know, I forget where the video is now, but I'm pretty sure I did a video called like John Frusciante's tone on the Boss Katana or 50. I don't know. I don't remember when it was, but I did a video on it some point. I don't remember when. But yeah, so you can just use the Katana 50, but like I say, if you want to use a pedal, then I'd recommend a Jackhammer, just simply because you've got more control and it's just more versatile, you know, to dial things in with, to be honest with you, because it's just got more tonal range, you know. So yeah, so that's the pedal I'd recommend. So yeah, I hope that's the question. I'm gonna move on to final question of the day. Question 4, everybody. Question 4 is, what chord progressions do you like to use the most? Simple ones. I don't like crazy chord progressions that kind of like involve kind of crazy chords and this and the other. I like chord progressions that lend themselves heavily to melody and harmony and stuff like that. I like, give an example. I'm just gonna have to blow my nose, everybody, so I'll be back in a sec. Okay, so that's better. Okay, so cold nose is making cold nose. The cold air is making my nose run. Okay, so you better go and catch it, Dave. Ah, it's so funny. Okay, so yeah, I like simple chord progressions that like just you can either sing over melodically or play over melodically with certain things. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel with the guitar. You know what I mean? I like simple. I like simple a lot, and I think there's a lot to be said for it. I enjoy simplistic chord progressions, and then to embellish that with melodies and kind of certain runs and stuff like that, and certain notes at the right times, I think is just really, really, really cool. I like that more than trying to be kind of clever with things, because I'm not clever. So like for instance, there's a John Frusciante chord progression which John uses a lot. So say D minor, B flat major, F major, and C major. I mean, just those 4 chords. There's so many melodic kind of ideas that just spring to mind over these 4 chords. You know, you can do something simple like forgive my horrific voice, but you know what I mean, you can do stuff like that, or you can go, you know, you can make it a little bit more fiddly, but and when it comes down to singing, you can kind of like do cool vocal lines over top. I'm not gonna sing, but don't worry, but you know what I mean? I like simple progressions because it makes melodies come easier to me, and I like that more. Another one, for instance, so that's one. Another progression would be, say, something like G major, D major, E minor. So again, over that, you know, you can a million little melodies. Yeah, I like that, and I like playing lead. I like playing solos over simple progressions because I find it easier to kind of get melodies out and emote through melodies. Because if something's really fast and shreddy, which I enjoy as well, but not as much as kind of slow and melodic, I find it a lot harder to kind of like emote what I feel. It's more a an exercise in technique, you know, and can you kind of keep up, so to say. Whereas I just like that kind of feeling of like hitting like one note at the right time in a song. It's or in a chord progression that just kind of just says it all. You know what I mean? It's like just like one note is, you know, it's that's it. You know, that it's like about one point. A good example of this, which unfortunately I can't play because of copyright, of one note being perfect, is the last solo of the Pearl Jam song Garden. Stone's playing this guitar part, and then the song comes back in, it's like da, 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 and Mike comes in with a note that's just behind the beat, so it's like dum, you know, and that's how he does it. I've got one high fret on this guitar at this point in time, people with you I need to fix. But like the song comes back in, so it's like da, 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 and then 3, 4, boom. So it's like on the 1 and 2. It's really cool how it just kind of jumps in, and it's just the perfect note at the perfect time. And the way Eddie's singing, the way the band comes back in, and the way that note screams out is so perfect. Another Pearl Jam perfect note for me is the 1992 version of Black at Pink Pop, where Mike is doing his, you know, da 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 bit on the guitar, and then there's a small gap, and he hits this note like that, and he's got his wah pedal on full tilt, so the wah pedal's toe down, and he just hits this note over Eddie singing, and it's just perfect. And every time I hear it, it just gives me goosebumps and just makes me just kind of like, breathe, Dave. You know, I mean, it's one of those moments, and it's the same with, you know, Jimi Hendrix with Voodoo Child. The start of that first solo, first main solo, not the intro kind of solo, is the actual main solo after the first chorus. That perfect. Smoke on the Water, Richie Blackmore's start to the solo of Smoke on the Water is perfect. There's a million of these things, and it's all about that timing, that, just to get the point across. And I like that. I like that a lot, and I like to be able to kind of like, you can feel it. When you hit a note and it's right, and it's like, it's exactly that note to you feels exactly like what you want to say and feel at that point in time. That's when, that's magical. I feel, to me anyway, and that's where I'm striving to get to. Is I want to be able to play the guitar and have people feel what I play. I don't want people to be kind of like, I don't want to be that guitarist who's got the most amazing technique and he's just like really, really super fast. I want to be a guitarist that people can. I want to make music that people can take comfort from, and play guitar that people can take comfort from and feel less alone if they feel alone, or feel happy when they feel sad, or remember good times when they in a bad time, or come to terms with a bad time, or whatever. I want to be able to do that. And it's really difficult. In all fairness, I would say that's harder to me than being a technical whiz on the guitar. Like, it's very fun to shred, and I still enjoy doing that. Every now and again I'll put Steve Vai on, or Yngwie Malmsteen, or Buckethead, and I'll just shred because it's good fun. Like, I enjoy that, and it's really good for your fingers, I think, personally, to kind of like keep your hand in and also give you dexterity, which is really, really cool. I do apologise for my phone, people do, but there's something to be said for getting the right note at the right time. And like I say, I like simplicity in chords. Like I say, if I go back to that D minor progression, and then there's so much in those 4 chords where you can go. I wish I had my amp on so I could do it on a looper, but I don't. But I like simple progressions. I don't like too much complexity. I like key changing. I don't do it a great deal, but I do like when keys change and stuff like that. I like blues progressions where you just got the 1-4-5. But I'm not interested in making clever chord progressions. You know what I mean? Again, I'm not clever enough to do that anyway. But like, if you look at some guitarists like Joe Satriani and stuff like that, they do really cool, clever things with chord pitches and stuff like that, and it's very, very cool. But that's not where I am right now, and that's not where I want to be right now. Like with the guitar, I want it to be. I like the simple side of things. I like it to be very kind of straightforward and down the line, and I like that more. And again, coming from John Frusciante world and Jimi Hendrix world, Jimmy had some kind of complex things, but I like the more kind of like, stuff like Little Wing and Boulder's Love, where it's a lot more kind of like straightforward. And John Frusciante, obviously being my hero, like, I love it when you got these kind of chord progressions, and I love those. I love the simplicity of them because it just lends itself so much more to being melodic and emotive than complexness. I find it's just me personally. I find it really hard to emote over complex music. If I play something like Surfing with the Alien, or Tender Surrender by Steve Vai, and not so much For the Love of God. I can emote for the love of God because I can slow down. But some of those songs, it's like, I find it really, and some Buckethead songs that I used to know, like Nottingham Lace and stuff like that, I find it really hard to emote through them. Whereas if I play something slower, like Scar Tissue, or a Free song, or a Jimmy song, or anything like that, where it's a bit slower and a bit more pulled back, I find it a lot easier to kind of get out what's in. You know what I mean? I can get that through, hopefully. Sometimes I can't, and that frustrates me, because I always feel I'm just not. You need to push harder, Dave, because it's really important for me to be able to do that, and I'm nowhere near it. Yeah, you know what I mean? I'm nowhere near being able to the level I want to be at with that. Yeah, you know what I mean? I'm not, like I said, I'm not talking about technique anymore. It's all about feel for me. It's more important than technique for me now. I want people to feel what I play and what I write, not just look at the technique side of it. In all fairness, I want people to not look at the technique side of it at all and just get lost in the music. I don't want people to have to analyse it. You know what I mean? I just want people to be able to kind of like just dive in and swim with me and let whatever it comes out come out, if that makes any sense. I like that. So, and I found the best way for me to do that is to keep things simple. And if that just means playing 2 chords, E minor and D, say, then that's what it is. You know, music will always tell me anyway if it's like, no, that's too complex. Like today's intro jam came to me without me picking up a guitar. I was sat downstairs watching Rise Against, and the chord progression for today's, I wasn't actually going to film today, but this chord progression just went, it popped in my head, and it was a gift, obviously, from the music, to say, right, this is what you need to do, and you need to go and do it now. So I've stopped what I was doing down there and came up, and also it had to be the Black Custom, the Epiphony. It had to be the Epiphony today. I don't know why, because I really wanted to play another guitar, but it was like, no, that one. It needs to be that one. It needs to be the Custom. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to argue. You know better than I do. And I came upstairs, turned my amp on, and lo and behold, what came out, which I don't remember what it was now. It was only like 45 minutes ago, whatever it was. You know, it came out, and that was it. You know, it was record it on the looper, set the camera up, press record, and go. I don't remember it. I don't remember it at all. But it was, you know, it's a little gift from music today, and you can't ignore them when they come. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where you won't get it every day. You might not get it for 2 or 3 days, or even a week, or a month, or even a year sometimes, maybe, depending on, you know, what it is. But eventually it will come back. It comes to you. You know what I mean? Another song actually came to mind earlier on as well, without me picking up guitar. I've got another song that I'm gonna have to record at some point. I got the song name, and I got the chord progression, and I got the order without playing the guitar. It was kind of like beamed into my head, if that makes any sense. I was just sat there again, just watching music, and all of a sudden this song appeared in my head, and I was like, oh, okay, so that's the chord I need to do there. That's the chorus. There's a little solo in there, and that's it. So that's the order, that's the name, and stuff like that. So I quickly wrote it down in my little book, and because I can't remember what the name is now, but I don't remember the chords either. But I wrote them down, so I don't have to remember. But I know what it is, and I say when it comes down to recording it, I trust in music 100% that it will guide me, and it will tell me what needs to be where and when. You know, and it just that whole thing, like I always say, about just submitting to it. And if you submit to it and let it take control, it guides you. You know, it won't lead you astray. It won't lead you down the wrong path. It'll take you to the right places. So, and today's intro jam and this other song are good things about it. I mean, I haven't written a song since I left France, so that'll be the first song I've written when I've been back, and I like that. Yeah, and I know what it's about, and I know how it's supposed to feel, and I know it's supposed to be quite aggressive and angry. It's an angry song, so I know where it's going from because this was all beamed to me, and I know where it needs to be, and I know what it needs to sound like. So it's just a case of capturing that now. I know I need to use the Les Paul Custom, the Epiphony, because that's what the song wants. It wants that guitar, and that guitar's amazing anyway, and I love that guitar. The strings need a resettle though, because they're a bit wibbly, because I ain't played it for a long time, but I love that guitar. It's so cool, and the fact it's a fake Epiphone is even cooler. I love it even more for that now. It's so cool, and again, it taught me a lesson, which I love. I always love learning from things like that, and learning by failing, I think, is one of the most awesome things in the world. Anyway, like I said, I like simple things. You know, I'm not a complex guitarist. I'm not interested in being complex. It's like, you know, you look at like guitarists like Tosin Abasi, and even stuff like Steve Vai, some of what Steve does, like, you know, with the joint shifting and Buckethead and all these other, you know, even Paul Gilbert and Yngwie Malmsteen. You look at these amazing guitarists who kind of like do that kind of thing. It's awesome. I love it. And I love playing that kind of thing. I've just recently started learning Technical Difficulties by Paul Gilbert because I want to learn it. I've always wanted to learn it, so I'm starting to learn it, which is great fun. and I can't play it because, just in case. And I nearly did, which was a bit scary. But that's not where I need to be. Sorry, everyone. It's not where I need to be right now. You know what I mean? That's not where music wants me, and that's not where I want me at this point in time. I've kind of... The shreddy side of it, I've kind of been there for, like, when I was younger and stuff like that. I'm not saying I'm old now. But I've kind of been there. I want to be over here now in the feel camp. I just want to be able to close my eyes and jump in and swim with the music and forget everything that's going on, and hopefully take you with me as well on a journey, which again will make you feel better or whatever in any way, shape or form. It'll make you feel something, you know what I mean, no matter what it is. That's where I want to be. So I'm not interested in kind of like being technical whiz kid. I think I've said that so many times, but you know, it's not why I play guitar at this point in time, and it's not why I play guitar anyway. You know, it was always about my love for music and guitar. There's no ulterior motive in my playing, if that makes any sense. Anyway, but yeah, chord progressions as well, like simple ones mainly. If it's just 2 chords, it's 2 chords. If it's 3, it's 3. If it's 4, it's 4. If it has a key change, it has a key change. But like I said, I trust in music to tell me what it requires of me. So I just listen to it and it tells me, and it doesn't steer me wrong really. So I just let it take control. When it tells me to do something, I'll do it. You know what I mean? If it tells me to play guitar with my teeth at a certain point, I'll play guitar with my teeth. But only when it tells me. You know, I don't want to be... Because if I'm not... Because when it tells me is normally the time when I'm not thinking. I'm unconscious to it, and I like that. But if I kind of like go, oh, I want to do this, it's like that's me thinking, and I find that always leads me down the wrong path when I play, and I always end up getting dead frustrated and angry when I'm thinking about when I'm playing. If I sit downstairs and I'm just kind of like noodling on scales or this, that and the other, I tend to get a bit bored, you know, of like, you know, I mean, I've got to do it to kind of, obviously, yeah, we all have to run our scales and practice these things, but I would much rather be playing along with people or to a backing track and finding melodies and feelings in the guitar and emoting more than kind of going that kind of thing. Although recently I have found a couple of little things which I really, really like. Like, let me just use a coin here. We got 10p. There's like some little runs. I don't know how we're able to hear this, but I've come up with these little runs which I really, really like. Stuff like and just do that again. That especially I really like, especially that beginning bit, because you got like a flat 5, which is really cool. They remind me of kind of Eric Johnson-y kind of things, but also these kind of like other things like which are kind of like fast and shreddy, but they've kind of got that melodic aspect to them, and it's very kind of like Mark Knopfler-y, that kind of thing, or Dave Gilmour-y, or Dave Murray-esque, you know, all the Daves. Anyway, but yeah, I like those kind of things. But again, hitting the right note at the right time is key, and feel is key for me right now. But so, and the way I can do that best is if I play over a simple chord progression with space and time in it. And again, that's what music wants from me, and that's what I want at this point in time anyway. That's where I feel at this point in time. So yes, so that's where I am, people too, and that's where chord progressions I favour. I'll say any chord progression that lends itself to strong melody and strong emotion and feel. That's where I want to be. I do apologise, everybody. That'll be yes. That's my mum. Shall we answer the phone while my mum? Hello, mother. You're on YouTube at this point in time because I'm filming a video. Say hello.
Oh, hello, everybody.
Yes. Anyway, back in a second. Okay, sorry about that, everyone. So there you go. That's like I say. I hope I think that's enough waffling about that. So yeah. Anyway, so that's the chord progressions I like. I say simple. Simpler the better. Really. I like simple. There's a lot to be said for it. I enjoy it. You know, I mean, I really enjoy melody and trying to play as melodic as I can with flurries of speed, which will dictate an emotion when they happen. You know what I mean? It'll be frustration or anger or hope or joy or whatever. You know, speed can do that, and you know, it's got to be used in the right kind of time for me. And then I do have those kind of like flurries, and I like that, and I get that stuff from like, you know, people like Dave Murray and John Frusciante, and I love that. I love doing that kind of thing, and it feels right, you know. And I say always just submitting to music and letting that kind of take control anyways is key there. So yeah, there we go. Hope I've answered your questions okay, people of YouTube. I hope this has been somewhat informative. I hope it's been something you can take away. And I hope I just hope there was something in there, as usual. Hello, Fear. Okay, so, yes, if you want to submit a question for A&Q, description box below has an email link. Email me there, and I will get to it when I get to it. And other than that, I hope you have a great morning, afternoon, good evening, people of YouTube, and I will see you again for another one very soon. We're running out of France videos now, sadly, but I'm going back. I'm going to go back at some point. I know I'm going to go back at some point. Just don't know when that's going to be, and that's the upsetting part. Anyway, I'll see you again on Friday for another video, people of YouTube. And until then, have a great morning, afternoon, good evening, and goodbye now. Thank you very much indeed for watching.